and welcome to LawSikho's Thought Newspaper Analysis for the 7th of June 2023. So today we have one editorial article which is titled On Sedition, a Betrayal, and the same has been taken from the Indian Express. For the second and the third segment of the day, we will have the news update and the legal news. Now, with respect to today's editorial article on sedition, a betrayal, it talks about the 22nd Law Commission's recommendation to not do away with the sedition law and, in fact, make it more stringent. Now, if you remember the proceedings of the last few months, and this is actually something that has been upheld, not upheld, but rather opinionated by a lot of legal jurists as well as the general mass, the informed portion of the general mass. And so the Supreme Court, rather than like voicing the opinions of the society at large, had stated that the sedition laws in India should be done away with. Now, why so? Sedition law is, for the most part, is a remnant of the colonial history that India has gone through. And while, yes, we cannot remove everything away regarding our colonial history, we need to take up one matter at a time and look into it as to what purpose it served. Now, when we take the same approach to sedition law, we see that it was something that the colonialists had brought forward to quell dissent, and in such violent manner that no one would have the courage to go further with this. No one would have the courage to stand up against the authority at the head of the state. No one would be able to criticize their policies, and no one would be able to leave behind any negative comment that throws shade on the people or the political party or anyone in authority. So, based on this, the Supreme Court had sought the recommendations of the central government regarding scrapping of Section 124A. Now, if we deep dive into the sedition laws in India and the present situation and what has led to the present situation in the first place, we see that firstly, the central government, for the most part, has believed in the findings of the case of Kedarnath Singh versus State of Bihar. And the central government believes that all the findings in this case and whatever was upheld is ample, and it does not need to look into the constitutionality of the sedition law. And since the case does uphold the constitutionality of sedition law, it should not be done away with. Besides sedition law, according to the central government and for people who do support it, the sedition laws is what keeps the freedom of speech in line. Yes, you are allowed to criticize a particular policy. Yes, you're allowed to criticize a person in the government, but that should not breach a certain standard. That should not breach a certain decorum. And sedition laws ensure that that decorum is maintained. Secondly, Section 124A was inserted in the 1870 to satiate the then colonial government, as we were discussing. Now, since India is a republic, the present argument is the citizens of the country should have the constitutional right to criticize the government by speech, by representations, or otherwise protest policies. However, the important word here is peaceful. None of these should come at the cost of vandalism. Now, the issue with the recommendations that have come forward. Now, a conceptual confusion seems to have crept into the Law Commission while it made this report. If we look into Article 19, which guarantees the freedom of speech, it does allow the state to impose reasonable limits and restrictions in order to curb hateful speech and not disguise it under the garb of freedom of speech. The Criminal Procedure Code of 1973 also has provisions for preventive detention and other restrictive measures under Section 144. If you look into the laws of India at large, you see it peppered with instances where people have used their words to incite violence within communities or within states, even the recent Metis violence that's going on. So, do these fall under the freedom of speech? Of course not. And there are provisions to ensure that these fail safes are maintained, and if they are breached, the people responsible for the same are brought to justice. However, with respect to the sedition law in particular, the regressive recommendations of the Commission will only go forward to silence the limited dissent that exists against the government at present. So, with this, we move on to the news for the day. Firstly, we have Telangana ranks top on overall environmental performance. Telangana has been ranked in the top in terms of overall environmental performance in the annual report for Center of Science and Environment, which is a prominent public interest research and advocacy organization. The factors helping in this achievement are considered to increase in forest cover and municipal waste treatment. About 273 crore saplings were planted in the last 9 years, which led to an increase in forest cover by 7,000 square kilometers. Secondly, we have SBI Bengaluru Circle launches Project Kuber. Now, to source, facilitate, and cater to various banking needs of the customers, the State Bank of India Bengaluru Circle launched Project Kuber, which will have 4 transaction banking hubs and 1 corporate salary package hub. These hubs will help to increase the market share in liability products of SBI. Transaction banking hubs will offer services to corporates or non corporate clients as well, from account opening to onboarding them on SBI's digital platforms. Thirdly, we have the Indian Army generates a unique ecosystem in Amchang Wildlife Sanctuary. The Indian Army has generated a unique ecosystem for peaceful coexistence with the wild elephants by aiming to mitigate the human elephant conflict in the Amchang Wildlife Sanctuary. According to the Indian Army and Assam Forest Department, there are around 90 wild elephants living in the Amchang Wildlife Sanctuary who often visited the military station. The army personnel of the military station have made clear paths for free movement of the elephants. Next up, we have Mekedatu Project. Karnataka urges Tamil Nadu's support for balancing reservoir. The Mekedatu Project aims to create a balancing reservoir on the Kaveri River in Karnataka. It involves the construction of a reservoir near town of Kanakapura, which would help regulate water flow and provide drinking water to Bangalore, the capital city of Karnataka. Additionally, the project intends to support agricultural activities in the Kaveri Basin and ensure water availability for farmers in both Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Next up, we have Jitendra Singh inaugurates Lavender Festival in Jammu and Kashmir. After inaugurating the country's first lavender festival in Jammu and Kashmir, the Union Minister described Bhaderwa as the birthplace of India's Purple Revolution. Referring to the lavender cultivation in the region, Dr. Singh said that lavender is an avenue of employment generation and research opening many paradigms of development for the region. Dr. Jitendra Singh maintained that startups under Purple Revolution in Jammu and Kashmir are one of the avenues under Startup India, Stand Up India. Next up, we have in a proud moment, top Indian sprinter Amlan Borgohain bags 2 gold medals. Top Indian sprinter Amlan Borgohain bagged 2 gold medals, one each in the men's 100 and 200-meter races at the Flanders Cup 2023 athletics meet, known as International Antwerp Athletics Gala in Merksem, Belgium. Borgohain clocked 10.70 seconds to emerge as the fastest man of the meet. He holds a 100-meter national record at 10.25 seconds. In the 200-meter, the 25-year-old Borgohain clocked 20.96 seconds to emerge winner ahead of Hoffman, 21.42, and Jamaica's Samuel Rowe, 21.88. Meanwhile, Sapna Kobari finished behind Belgium's Amber van den Bosch in the women's 100-meter hurdles after clocking 14.10 in what was a two-woman field. So with this, we move on to the legal updates for the day. Will before death of executant or general power of attorney cannot confer title in immovable property. Now, the Supreme Court in the case of Ghanshyam versus Yogendra Rathi have held that a will or general power of attorney cannot be recognized as title documents or documents conferring right in any immovable property. It has been further held that non-execution of any document by the GPA holder consequent to it renders the said GPA useless. So this was all for the day. For free study materials and TNA PDF slides, please join our Telegram channel, the link of which you can find in the description, or you can scan the barcode that is given on your screen. Also, do not forget us to subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe us on YouTube so that you can stay up to date with the thought newspaper analysis which comes out every day. Thank you.